Welcome everyone to another episode of Uncropped. We are going to be talking about River's Edge once more, but today we have I guess we're going to say special guest. We'll call him special guest.
Special in
Will
what way,
is
Michael?
our Will is our DP, or if you're not in the film world, director of photography. And we're going to be talking to him for a little bit. I have a few interrogation-like questions for you first before we get into anything. But first, let's just go ahead and introduce yourself, Will.
You're gonna interrogate me? Okay.
I mean, I
Hi.
have 4 questions right up here.
All right. Okay. Maybe I should have asked to prepare for this. My name is Will Cribb. I've been working on River's Edge now since I want to say what was like the 14th draft you brought me in on of the script. But
I have no
so I've
clue.
been the point is I've been working on helping Mike with this for some time now, and I was doing the director of photography business and as well as editing, which we're currently in the process of.
Yeah,
I did not think about enough of intro.
it's okay.
I'm,
But
I'm only a little frazzled and sleep deprived. It's fine. Well, but
you're
other than
always
that,
sleep deprived, which always has me concerned.
it's how I do such a good job. It's a
I,
secret sauce, you know.
I guess so? Question mark. Um. Anyway, well, first off, it's been really fun working with you so far, Will. You've done a great job, and I know that as we're going to talk in later, this has been a learning experience for not just you, not just me, but for everyone involved.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's been a big thing. um, so I think first I just want you to kind of just talk about how you and I first connected and ended up getting to know each other in order to make it. So eventually you ended up working on the film.
So if I didn't meet you before, then I don't think we really interacted before this point. But I met you during your senior year at Keene State College, which would have been my junior year. When you were working on your capstone with Colleen. Has Colleen been on this yet?
She is not. She will be soon, hopefully.
Oh, nice. So I'm teasing future episodes then, but I assume our audience is familiar with the concept of a capstone. Should I explain that or?
You can talk about a capstone real quick. You can give a quick summary. You can
Cap
give a 2 sentence
a
summary.
capstone is essentially like an end of your college career thesis film showing what you've learned. Simple as that. And so when Mike
Yeah.
and Colleen were working on theirs, which was a documentary on mental health, I was looking to get to work on a capstone. I already knew Colleen, so I happened to be in a class with both of you guys and stopped you guys, said, "Hey, you guys need help editing or something like that?" And that led to a wonderful experience.
And you did more than editing too. You helped us with
Yeah,
AC or whatever too.
like
And it was fun.
I was initially brought on to do editing and a bit of like maybe either additional cinematography or like second unit cinematography, one of the two. But
I think it was additional cinematography. Yeah.
yeah, but so I was on set for a few shoots and a few interviews, and actually more than a few. But a big part of what I was doing was in the editing bay. So I did all the color correction, and I played a pretty substantial role to my memory of like cutting the film down because it used to be a lot longer and
Oh yeah, it was.
yeah,
It was like a 25-minute film, and we had to cut it down to what, 15, 12
something
minutes?
like that. But
Gosh.
it might have been half an hour at one point. But
Oh yeah, it was for sure.
so you have to learn just how opinionated I am about some things, and
Yeah, there are advantages and disadvantages to working with you.
I mean,
I'm just gonna say that.
at least I don't have bad opinions all the time, right?
Not all the time.
But essentially, so that's where it kind of started. And I worked very closely with Mike in the editing process, and we got to came to understand how we work and how we can work off each other pretty early on, and so that went very well. And then you graduated, obviously. I graduated surprisingly, and then
I'm glad you did though.
and then it must. When did you reach? Was it last September? Was it a year ago you reached out to me, or was it later?
I I want to say it was about a year ago because a lot of our pre-production really started at the end of last summer, going into last fall, I believe.
So around this
That's when
point,
we like
yeah.
started really finalizing the script and started to get our crew together. I think I had Murphy and I was asking you about it. You were really unsure originally because was this your first
Well,
project being a DP?
yeah, it was. So this is like my first like professional out of college gig, and I said sure I'd be happy to do editing, but I was like I don't want to let people down with DP because
I kind of like
I'm
pushed you.
you did.
I wanted you to be
To be
DP.
completely honest, I don't remember officially agreeing to be DP. I just started doing a shot, so I said, "Well, guess I'm DP now." So
I could scroll through our text messages if you really want.
yeah, no, I'll take your word. It worked out. So I'm not a master of remembering fine details. So
Well, I mean, we got text messages to prove.
I
Huh,
mean, you can't
okay.
do anything now. I signed a contract. So
I have information right here.
oh god.
To the Room 310 board group chat. Hey, I'm going to reach out to Will Cribb about DPing and editing River's Edge. I think he would do so well with it. Any objections? That's what I said, and it was
Hmm.
August 5th last year.
Okay. Yeah. So
And then I sent you that text the same day.
it's been just over a year now. Then and
Yeah, and wait, then we did talk about it August 15th, 2023. Hey, I'm pretty sure we talked about this when we had our call together, but I was thinking if you were able to
how do
help
you
DP for
already
a
have this
pre-production
pulled up?
aspect. I just type in DP in our messages and it pops right up.
Wait, you can search. Okay, I'm not gonna go
You
into
can
this right
search in the
now.
messages app on your
I'm
phone now.
all right. That's
I
actually
said, you
fascinating.
said, I don't think we did talk about it, but if you think that works, it's fine by me.
Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah. God, I
And then
was
I
really
said,
filling you
hey,
with
and then
confidence in the
August
first bit there.
17th. This
I
is when
mean,
it
on
really
this
started
whole
happening, though.
segment.
August 17th, I said, hey, what projects have you DP'd on before? If you have, can you send me the links to any that you've done so I can watch them? Just trying to do my research, lol. You said, well, that's the thing. I haven't actually. This would be a bit of a first time for me.
I actually do distinctly remember that bit.
Yeah, and then I said, okay, that's totally fine. I know you have a good amount of camera and editing, obviously, experience. So I know that would translate well. Or I think that would translate well. Just wanted to ask, because I totally forgot if I had asked that before or not. And then you just said, okay, cool, cool.
Yeah, as I'm wont to do.
That's a Will conversation right there. But that was just over a year ago. So
Yeah, so put about a year of my life into this thing.
happy 1 year River's Edge anniversary.
Yay!
Ready for another one? Another year of editing and screenings and such?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we're already pretty far into the editing, but I mean not very far, but like we're substantially in there at this point.
We're a solid chunk in.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so you asked me to be a part of the film and I agreed. And since then, yeah, I mean I right away like I had opinions on the script as
Yep,
always, opinions on
definitely.
everything and then opinions on the casting and opinions on
So
probably
you're like
locations.
a DP slash half-ass producer
I'm a
in
DP
a sense. You
editor
don't want the
and
title of producer.
yeah, I just kind of I have a very bad habit of just kind of sneaking into weaseling my way into other roles as it goes on.
But honestly, I was fine with it because again, this was an experience where I wanted everyone to be like as heavily involved as possible. So I was like, "Hey, Will, tell me your opinions on the script. Tell me your opinions on this actor. Tell me, and especially since you'd worked with with one of them
Yeah,
before." So I
yeah.
was like, What do you think he would do? Like, how do you think he would go?" So, um, I think it was good that I was able to get you to kind of like you were opinionated, yes, but I told you keep giving me your opinions because I wanted that. Um, but anyway, going back onto the DP topic,
Right, yeah.
what what challenged you most about being a DP?
The gimbal for one. Uh
I'm aware of that. Yeah, that was a tough one.
God, that gimbal just love-hate relationship
Well,
with
the
that
thing is,
thing.
you hadn't worked with it much before, and I
Yeah.
had, so I knew how to work with it. So whenever you were having issues, I just like fixed it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was good.
Oh, that thing. Oof. um,
But sorry, good.
in terms of struggles, I mean, I think also a big part of that is self doubt because I mean, especially when it's your first project and you know, I never really considered myself like a professional DP before now, so a lot of that is being forcing yourself to trust your instincts, I guess, and be confident. Like this is a good shot. And of course, a lot of I suppose validation on set, so that helps. But honestly though, like at the same time, like I really do feel like I got some real. I'm really happy with a lot of the shots I got on set. So
And,
like
and that's what I'm happy about because I know you were again really not anxious, but you were like nervous about being a DP and having that much control and being in charge of like again all the cinematography on set.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm glad that you're able to come out of it being like, oh, I'm really proud of a lot of the stuff
Hmm.
I did because again, it's a learning experience, and I hope that you've learned a lot from this. But also to be proud of what you did is awesome. It makes me feel good that you're feeling good about it because
Hmm.
I like having people around me be happy. So you know that. I mean, and you and I just don't work together. We're like friends at this point, unless you
Yeah,
don't see
yeah.
it that way, which that sucks. But whatever.
I mean, as long as you see
We
me as a
talk
friend,
basically every day, so I think
yeah,
we're friends at this
yeah.
point. But no, I that you did have a really challenging experience as a DP with your first project, a really low budget project where you didn't really have a lot of people to guide you and kind of tell you what to do. So you and I was it was my first time directing. So we really had to like kind of
Yeah,
bounce
yeah.
off each other and balance how much where it's like you're telling me what to do versus me telling you what to do. Or there were times where we kind of got a little annoyed with each other,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
But
understandable.
oh, we were we were cooped up in the same area for 3 weeks in Maine,
Two and a
so
half, yeah.
2.5. So
I mean, it's bound to happen, and the
yeah,
thing is, we didn't take that as like a oh screw you I hate you type thing. It's
yeah,
just no, we both have creative ideas and we want them to be expressed properly. We have different opinionated ways of doing that, just like everyone does, which is exactly how it's going to be on set. But the way that we manage that and handle that is the most important part.
yeah. And that's like the exact nature of professionalism, really. I mean, you got to be able to. I mean, yeah, you can get annoyed and think, I really don't think we're doing this the right way at one point, but you got to be able to drop that for the next scene, you know? At the very least, the
Yeah,
next day. That's.
definitely. And I mean, Piper and I were actually talking about one time on set where I you'll remember exactly as soon as I say it 9.5, 9 and 10.
9, 10.
Scenes 9
Yep,
and 10.
yep.
We
Well,
had that whole debacle where you and Jacob had an opinion on how it should go, and Piper and I had an opinion on
yeah,
how it
yeah.
should go. I was like, Piper, we need to go talk about this. So Piper and I just walked away and we just talked about what we wanted originally, just so
Hmm.
we understood what we were talking about, because we obviously wrote it down for a certain reason. But you and Jacob had your idea of how you wanted to do, and then we were like
Yeah.
bringing you guys in. We were like, okay, now explain,
Hmm.
now that we have our heads straight and know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah, I think at that moment the tensions went away when we were able to talk to each other and like communicate as a group, and it made sense to like communicate amongst yourselves for a little while. But it's as long as you get around to the communication in the end. I mean, that's what makes or breaks it. Like
Yeah, the point of the process for me and Piper or Piper and I in that standpoint or that point in time, it was just like get our thoughts together, then we're open to hearing other thoughts. So, and then once we heard your thoughts, like obviously, I hope you guys didn't feel like you weren't heard because we
yeah.
had you like talk about your whole idea.
Hmm.
We basically I mean, there are things that Piper and I were really like stuck to. Like, we're not gonna let this go. We have to have it this way because it's part of the story, and we're really important to us. And there were things that you really wanted to get cinematography wise that was really important to you as well, and I
Mm.
let you stick with that too. But I think it's important that like we communicated well in that manner. We were frustrated a little bit,
Yeah,
but
it was a long day, and like yeah,
yeah.
that was a day when what Demi has like just a ton of complications and
Um, Yeah, we had some challenging with like the lighting and
yeah.
everything. Scene 5 was really frustrating because I
No,
was down
scene
that
5
hallway with the
was
crazy lighting and
like that one take, just long hallway, and Murphy was getting frustrated with the lighting,
understandably,
I
yeah. And
and I walked into that, what was it, like a Zamboni like 4 times, and
oh, the floor cleaner, yeah.
yeah, no, no, not Zamboni, that's for ice.
I wish we had a Zamboni for our film. Now, okay, that's in our next budget. Will next time we're making a movie,
What are we
we're
gonna use the
using
Zamboni
Zamboni.
for?
You know, we can write it into the script. However, maybe the next film takes place in the winter for something else that someone else writes.
Okay.
Um, but going on to the off of the most challenging part,
Hmm.
what was the best moment you had being a DP? Was there like a specific moment that stuck out to you?
Scene 7 is up there. Scene
That
7
was
is
a good one.
definitely up there.
I love how people are not going to know what the hell we're
Where
talking about,
no
but
one's gonna
you
know
and
what
I are like,
it is.
oh,
You know, it is a flashback scene relatively early on, and that should.
yeah. It was shown in the trailer too, so
Yeah, and there's only
it's
one
the
flashback,
yelling.
so I think people will piece it together.
Yeah, it's the scene of Doug and Cash yelling at each other in the room, and Cash calling Doug a fucking drunk. That's
Yeah,
that's that
yeah,
part of the trailer. That was
that
amazing.
was like it was my plan from the get go. Like as soon like from shot list and everything, I want that like one take and just going back and forth between them, and
Hmm.
it came out perfectly. That was one of the big moments for me.
That was a good one. Also,
Hmm.
one thing that I'm really proud of how you did with this because it was a really challenging scene. This scene had I think about 13 shots. I think you're already knowing which one it is. Scene 60, which I can't say anything
Oh
about because that
man,
was a huge
60.
spoiler. But
That's a spoiler.
scene
Yeah.
60 was beautiful.
Oh, that is also some of my
It was
best
so
work.
good.
It's I mean, the main shot of that, which I think people will know it when it happens, but it's
It
a
looks
shot
good.
where
You can't say
I know I
that.
just want to scare you, but
You're an asshole.
I mean, it was a gimbal, of course, so it took multiple tries. But that when we got the right one, it was just one of those moments, and that was a day earlier this month that we shot, and we were up till like 2 in the morning or maybe 1:30. Just
It was 1:30 by the time we wrapped and started going to bed.
yeah, yeah, and
I
we
I
could have
I
stopped,
can't
but
say enough about how much I love that scene because it's so important to the story, but we were able to match the importance with how well everything looks and sounds in that. So I think that makes it 10
yeah,
times
yeah.
more important in my mind because it's just amazing. I love it.
And of course, all the best scenes, I think they really come together most of all because of the actors.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna segue off me for a bit and talk about them because I think like the the biggest moments in this film really work because of them. Like that yelling
Yeah.
scene, that scene 7, like I don't want to take away from your I'm assuming your
You're
interviews
good.
with the actors, but
Go ahead.
there's that line where we mentioned earlier, at least I'm not a fucking drunk line, and like
Yep.
Isaiah improvised that on set. Well, he told us he was gonna do it, but it wasn't in the script as a point, and that's like we shot two versions of the scene, one without that line and
We
one with
did.
that line, and by the end of the day, everyone was like, that line is essential, and we all wish we came up with it ourselves.
But no, so talking about that scene and how Isaiah proposed that was seven. So he went up to me and kind of like Piper wasn't there for that, but I called her because she had to go home. But I called her. I was like, "Hey, what do you think about Isaiah adding this line?" She's like, "We were both hesitant in a way because it strayed so far off, and not Isaiah Cash as a character is not a confrontational character typically."
Hmm.
But in this moment, he's being confrontational, so it makes sense that the line comes in. But at the same time, he's not a confrontational character. So would
Well,
you really say that? So we were
what
having that internal and
what I
external
think
debate.
makes it perfect is like, and this is why like I really wanted to hold on the shot after he said the line because he said it and then he pauses and he has a look on his face like I just said that and I don't really
It's like a scared, holy shit! I just
yeah
said that. Like, and
and
it looks so
and
good.
it comes out perfectly, but and then also like it says to see like Cash can be confrontational, but he's not used to the idea, and
Hmm.
it's that one bit just goes to show like how much Isaiah like brought to Cash. Like he brought so many great elements about him, and that
And yeah,
mhm,
well, obviously every actor did a fantastic job in their own in their own respects. Like they did a great job, but Isaiah just like kind of like brought that, and
mhm,
especially being the character that's in the most amount of scenes, it's really important that and he's a main character, that he's able to bring his A game. Everyone else brought their A game hands down, and I knew that because I had a lot. Not that they had a lot more experience than him, but they had been in the acting world a little longer than him,
Yeah, yeah.
and I had seen like some of their reels and stuff. Isaiah was the only one that had only been for a little while, so he was the one where I was like, okay, he's playing the main character. I want to make sure that he's comfortable and able to bring his A game with us, and he absolutely did. Like I had never directed a film before, which we've talked
Right,
about this,
yeah.
but I never directed a film before. But once I saw how well all the actors were doing, it made me feel so much better about directing because it made me feel like,
Mhm.
okay, these guys are passionate and they care and they want to do well with this, and they're showing that by doing so freaking well. Like it makes me feel good because they're succeeding.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
You or everyone brought their A game, and the other one
oh yeah.
is, the other one I was going to mention is Cora, because Cora brings such a level of sass and snarkiness to Hadley that I don't feel like was put in the script.
It
Like
was
maybe
absolutely not put in the script, but as soon
like
as she started with it, I was
and
like, "Fuck
it's not so
yes!"
much like improvised lines; it's just like line readings and adding that start. Like Cora was able to just add so much to the character, and I have to give her credit for that. As much
Yeah,
as we mock each other on set, or more so she mocks me, but
you and Cora were hilarious on set. You guys had this like friendly mocking back and forth insult
it wasn't
relate
even a back and
like.
forth. I don't know why I can't keep up with her. I can keep up with everyone else.
You're really like witty and sassy and snarky, and she knew how to take you down.
Yeah, and
She
I was
outwit you.
and I don't like admitting when people can do that, but uh, yeah, I gotta admit I lost that one.
I will say it was hilarious to watch from an external perspective because just seeing you guys go back and forth, I'm like, okay, guys, as much as I love watching Will and Cora just get roasted here, like, we need to film a movie. So we kind of
Yeah,
have to do this thing that we're here for.
yeah, man, that was a thing with the whole crew. Really, I mean, just everyone was interacting with each other. So it was such a great atmosphere on set that like it was progress got slowed down more than a few times. We had to have talks about that, but
Yeah. And actually, I want to dive into that real quick
mhm.
because you talked about like this being like your first like
Yeah,
professional
that
in
was the
air
intention. I
quotes
wanted to give you a
set.
segue because I figured you wanted to talk about that.
I did want to talk about it because
Yeah,
I know that
we're so in
you.
sync.
I don't think it was intentional though. I think you're just saying it to say it, but
All
but
this
no.
time, you still doubt me.
But no, like when it comes to being on a professional set, this wasn't really super professional, but it was like an independent film away from being at college. Is that what you mean? Like that's the
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then how was your experience overall with that? Like what were your expectations going into it, and what actually happened? Expectations versus reality.
Oof.
I know I asked the tough questions. Remember, my girlfriend is a journalist, so I know
Yeah,
how to ask the
yeah,
tough questions.
yeah. I don't know what I expected in terms of interacting with the rest of the crew. Like, I mean, I knew Murphy and Colleen and you going in, and I'd interacted a bit with Dylan and
And Carter,
oh yeah, and Carter. Yeah, to
I'm gonna
Carter,
tell him that you forgot about him.
I didn't forget about him. Uh,
I'm gonna tell on you.
for context for the viewers, Carter was a friend and one-time roommate of mine in college who when I got into the film, I used a bit of nepotism to get him on set for a few days. So
But it all worked out for
it
the
worked out
end.
great. When Carter was there, he also did a great job. But I mean, I think expectations. I was so caught up and focused on how am I going to DP this thing, how am I going to pull this off. I didn't even think about interacting with the people, and in a way, we got super lucky. Like I'd never spoken to Jacob before getting there, and we were friends really fast.
Yeah, I don't know how, because again, most of us didn't know each other until a day and a half before filming, or a day before filming, or
Yeah,
the day of filming.
I didn't even get there
And
till the day of
the
filming, so
I know I'm a little annoyed at you with that still, but it was worth it.
I, well,
No,
I
you told
already
me ahead of time.
I
It was
had
fine. I was kidding.
pre-made plans, and like
I know.
but
I'm just giving you a hard time. But no, I think it was great that everyone got along so well on set, like the day of, because I
Mm.
think it was all the fact that we were all like the same age, we all had the same goals, and we all
Yeah.
had just like the same project we were working on. So might as well just get along, and everyone was really quick and easy to get along with. Everyone's kind of chill in our group,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
really nice. No one was like a hard ass, or no one was if anyone was a hard ass, it was me. But
Yeah, well,
everyone was a hard ass
I don't
and
like to admit it, but you get a free pass
was
on
in a
that
good
one,
mood.
so.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. But I mean, that's my job as a director, technically.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You're the only one who's really allowed to do it, so.
exactly, there you go. But no, continue. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
I completely forgot what I was saying, but probably something along the lines of like, yeah. So we did get very lucky with just our crew, and I think a lot of it because like we're in the same boat. Like for a lot of us, it was our first time. I don't want to use air quotes, but like outside of college, independent film project, professional project. So it's the first time for all of us, and like we're all of us were trying to get our foot in the door in our own ways. This was a big deal for us, and I think we were all just excited to be there, and it helped a lot with just the atmosphere on set.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good blend of personalities helped over.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we, there's bits that helped, but we definitely got lucky. I think is the overall point.
Yeah. I think that there were a lot of moments where I was like at the beginning, I was like, okay, I don't know three-quarters of these people. Is this really gonna work? Is this all just gonna go to shit? Like, is everyone just gonna get on? One of my big worries was everyone would get on set and there'd be like a giant fight and people would start hating each other. I'm like,
I just
if that
walk in and
happens, it's on
immediately
me.
smash a bottle on someone's head.
Not like that, but like you do something to piss another person off, and then you guys are just mad at each other, but you guys have to work with each other for another two and a
Yeah.
half weeks, and then that just causes tension and frustrations.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a place where we got lucky with a group of mature filmmakers. Like,
Mature, relaxed, but also really fucking fun.
yeah, yeah.
Like I just posted on Instagram about it like a week ago or whatever. The fact that in August when we were at the Cape, literally Jacob and Isaiah were just sitting there playing video games in
Yeah.
between like takes and just hanging out, and I'm like, this is, I don't think you're really ever gonna see this on a big professional set. I don't think you're gonna have people that are able to become this close.
Yeah, just on a whim.
It was really it kind of like hit me hard because I was like, oh, this is nice. Like I'm in a way my film was bringing people together. Um, but also I don't want to take the credit for that because everyone else is freaking awesome. So I don't want to take the credit for, oh, you and
I
Jacob
mean,
are friends now because of me. So you should thank me. But I
well,
don't want to be like that. But also I'm really glad that it happened.
I would say it was the film that brought them together. It was your
Yeah.
film that brought them together, but it was not you that made them friends. So I think that's a fair compromise.
My film gave them an opportunity to become friends.
Yes,
And they took that
exactly.
opportunity.
Everyone took the opportunity.
And I honestly think like besides just the crew, I want to say safely, fairly, that I am now friends with everyone in the cast as well
Mm,
because again, amazing people, fun to work with, so
absolutely.
flexible because they knew the fact that most of us were just like kind of coming out of college, first big project, and a few of our crew are still actually in college. So
Yeah.
the fact that they were so flexible and willing to work with us and understanding of the fact that we are young and we're still trying to
Hmm.
um, learn, the fact that the crew and the cast were both really flexible with that, it makes it more meaningful overall. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That just made me feel really good.
No, it's absolutely fair. It is. It is absolutely correct.
I had another question for you, but I don't remember what it was because
I
I
thought you
already
had a
asked you what your
list.
most proud shot. I had a list. And I think I got through all of them, but I want to talk to you more about just like everything that's gone on, like because I
Mm.
feel like you and I talking for a half hour is not enough time to talk about just your whole
Talk
experience
about
DPing. Like,
like yeah, every part of the process. I mean,
let's talk about our shot list calls.
Oh, the shot list call. You know, you mentioned earlier like what my like biggest concerns were, my like anxiety about going into this. I mean the shot list was like a huge part of relieving that, I suppose. I thought it was a lot of the like what we spent like was it a month that we had those calls just playing out the shot list one scene at a time?
Yeah, I believe so, but I can double check while we're here because I have my computer out. But I'm getting, I want to get all the details right. So I think what we did was we did shot list calls. There is it. Okay. April 16th. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So we had DP meeting. It's labeled as DP meeting with Will. It was about twice a week for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It started in November. 4,
Right.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then another day, and then another day, and then another
That's
day.
right. It did go a bit into January, didn't it?
So it was 10 weeks. And then our last shot list call was April 16th because we had a couple of other scenes we fixed last second.
All right. So
And
the
then
1 month
that's
estimation
crazy.
was way off then. But
Yeah, it was a solid 10 weeks. And that's like twice a week. So that's 3 to 5 hours a week times 10. That's like 50 hours a week, or 50 hours of just on us on a call together
yeah.
talking about cinematography. And it sometimes went for like 2 hours. It was
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, and and most of it would just be me looking at a script and just throwing out all the ideas that came into the top of my head all at once, and you struggling to keep up.
Yeah, because the process would be is we can talk about the process real quick.
Yeah.
So first off, let's talk about the fact that they were at like 9 or 10 a.m. in the mornings before I would go to work. So my work starts at 11. So we'd have an hour long supposedly meeting. They typically go an hour and a half. So I'd go half an hour into work, but my boss was super chill about it, which is pretty awesome. But going from like 10 a.m. to 11:30, we'd sit down and we'd go and talk about, okay, we finished this scene, this scene, this scene. We're going to start on scene 4 today.
Yeah.
We're going to try to get through scene 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we tried to get like 5 scenes a day or whatever, but that did not happen.
No.
There were some scenes that were really long. There were some scenes that were really short, and you can kind of like go through and
because a lot of the scenes when we brought them to set, we'd like look at the shot list and be like, and this is like so like months after we made that shot list, we looked at it, it's like, oh, we planned 15 shots for this one scene. Of course, this is before we knew our locations would look like. So we're like, oh,
yeah, that's more challenging.
So before every scene, or like at the end of every day, like we'd sit down with Jacob and just be like, okay, let's rethink this. We don't need all these shots. We're gonna add this shot. So we really just changed the shot list, you know, at the start, bits and pieces at the start of every day. But
and I'll give an example here. Like one of the first days we were filming, we filmed on June 24th. That's a Monday, and we filmed for 9 hours that day. We were scheduled filming for 9 hours that day. So after that night, which we wrapped at 10 p.m., which is late.
Not bad compared to some other days.
We filmed scene 7, actually, was that last scene that night. After we wrapped that shot and that scene, and we pack up, while other people are packing up, you, me, Colleen, Murphy, and Jacob, and if Piper's there, she'll go too. But we'll go on to like the porch or whatever. She wasn't there for that day, and we go over the scenes for the following day, the 25th, which would be like 57, 52, and 27, which is actually a light day. So we'd go through and we would figure out, okay, these are the shots that we have written down for the shot list. What should we do to consolidate now that we know the locations? So we made our lives easier, but it also made it more complex because we had to talk about more things because we didn't know the locations ahead of time.
Yeah, but you know, once we got into that group, it worked really well. And it's a good time to mention how much of an asset Jacob was to this whole film.
He kept me freaking organized, and I do not know how he did it. Because this is like like I said in one of the last episodes, it's like one of the most stressful experiences of my life. Managing like 16 people on set, including looking at like what you're doing and figuring out cinematography, managing audio, looking at lighting and all that kind of stuff. It's something. And then having someone who's just there being like, "Hey Michael, just so you know, we're good on time. We're doing this scene, this shot, this take. No, what am I saying? Will is ready for you. Murphy's ready." Just kind of like keeping me in check
Yeah.
helped me so much.
Yeah, no, we definitely had to like think of some processes to like get our like running order, I guess would be it. We had to
Order
like
of
figure
operations. That's what we
yeah,
called it.
order
Our
of
order of
operations, yeah.
operations. Not
We
PEMDAS, but
we we had to do a lot of work to kind of figure out our processes and what order we were going to deal with things in and what order you were going to deal with things in particular. And Jacob was essential to that.
hmm.
Like
Well, actually, I'm going to create a new. So D P A L S. So our PEMDAS is actually PALS.
wait, really? Wait, what did you just
Well, it's technically CALS. Cinematography,
oh,
actors, lighting, sound.
that's not pals at all. I don't know why you
Well, I did director of photography,
okay,
so
well maybe just
photography.
call it photography and then can be pals.
It can be PALS. Either PALS or CALS
I
with a
mean
C.
I mean I think I
Let's
think
do
I, I
PALS.
think pals sounds better, yeah.
And it sounds somewhat like PEMDAS, so it makes sense.
Kinda.
Yeah, I know. But no. So we had that order of operations, which I hope it helped you out too, because it helped me because I was like,
Ye-
okay, I've checked in
well,
with Will. I'm going to the
mhm.
actors now.
Well, beforehand it was setting up a shot was just kind of chaotic because I'd be like, okay, I'm ready to go. I need to talk to Mike, and then you'd be off working with the actors, and then Murphy would be in the same boat. It's like I don't know what I should be doing right now because, and then once we get that process down, it's like okay, Mike's gonna come to me,
Yeah.
and then like you get an idea of what order things are gonna go in, and it helps things run more smoothly. And
Yeah. And it helped me too, because I was like, okay, I've checked in with Will. I'm going to talk to the actors real quick just about what's going on in the scene while after Will's figured out the shot that we're going to start with, so I can tell them through that. Then you can get them framed up, practice your shot while I'm
mm-hmm.
talking about lighting with Murphy. Once Murphy's all set, talk to Maddie and Angus about where they're going to be for the sound. Then circle back to you. How's everything looking? Murphy, okay, are there any final touches we need to do with lighting? Then sound, are you guys positioned and ready to go? It's like a loop. You can do it twice. Pals.
Pals.
And it's perfectly fine. It's the pals. That's what we need to do now.
Are we
But
gonna
no,
make a new
it
sign?
worked so well. Oh gosh, I for context, I made a Maddie minute sign because after every take, Maddie would be listening to the audio to make sure it sounded okay. So I would have someone near Maddie kind of hold it up above him so everyone knew to shut the hell up. It's a Maddie minute.
We
And
had
I
to
have one actually still in the back of my car.
I'm so proud of the fact that I came up with the 90 minutes phrase.
Yeah.
I was the first
And then
one to
we
say it. I just
had
want to make sure everyone knows that.
awaiting Aiden. So Maddie minute
Oh
and then
yeah, we had to
awaiting
replace it with
Aiden.
awaiting Aiden because Maddie disappeared for the Cape Cod shoot dates.
I did sound for a couple shots.
Mm.
So it was back to a Michael minute. Continuing, we made a custom sign for Maddie, and we had Aiden. We didn't do a sign for him because he was only doing it for a little bit. We did what did we do for me? Michael moment, you said?
I think I wanted it to be Michael Moment, just make it a little more different, but I don't think that really caught on.
Well, I don't think I did it for long
It's
enough
fine.
and around enough people for it to actually
Yeah,
matter.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Next
Next time,
time we'll make a
I'll make it a
sign
thing.
for us. Um, but yeah, so again, we had like a fun time on set. We had the fun signs, and
Mm.
I don't know.
It was great in a lot of ways, and being on set was such a huge confidence booster for me too, in a number of ways. I mean, a big part is the sheer amount of thought that I put into like the DP situation, like aspects and
Yeah, because
stuff.
I know I remember actually you and I
Like,
like when we first started talking about like you being DP, we like actually were doing like proper
mm,
research on like
mm,
okay, everyone's roles, everyone's responsibilities, and just like making sure no one stepped on each other's toes. And because again, we're all young, we hadn't done a lot of this
yeah,
before, so I know that you and I really were able to like dive into research on that. And you did a great job for not having experience being a DP. You were able to keep me on my toes, but also make something really good, and it all worked out. And I would not hesitate to have you on it
I
as a DP again. So
I think it helps that I'm mainly an editor. I think that's a significant asset for my work, just because it's a lot easier for me to visualize. And you're able to do this too, where we can just visualize. Okay, so we know we're gonna use this stuff, and we don't like it's easier for us to know what we don't want to use in the long run.
yeah, I think you and I
Because
think very similarly, and that's why we got along so well with this. Is you and I think similarly in the manner where we both are very visual thinkers. Like when we were like thinking out the shot list or whatever, you remember this? I would literally just sit there with my eyes closed and completely just visualize what the scene looks like, and I'd be
yeah,
able to explain it in a much better way than if I'm like, oh, I think we should do an over the shoulder shot. I don't know why, but I do. But I'm like actually seeing the film in
yeah,
my head. It's like a movie, so I'm like, oh, okay, so it's an over the shoulder shot with the tree in the background of Cash looking towards Hadley and Riley from that side. So I was able to kind of describe it more, and you did the same
yeah,
thing, which
yeah.
actually helped me envision it too and make sure that
Like
you're.
I was thinking of it like actually like in Premiere
Mm,
Pro in the editing process, being like, so all right, so I want the shot to look like this, and we cut to this and cut
yeah,
back to that, and then like so my mind was mostly in that frame headspace.
and that again is it's really helpful to
And
think, especially tip to anyone. It's not a bad idea to have a DP who's also going to be your editor. Just saying.
as it turns out,
It
it works
it
really
works
well.
surprisingly well, and as not that I didn't have faith in you, I just didn't know how. I people say you should only focus on one thing at a time, in the sense where if you're a DP, you shouldn't be thinking about editing. You should only be thinking about DP in that moment, and if you're an
I
editor, you should only be thinking about editing. So my thought process is like, what happens if we mesh that? And you meshed that, and it worked really well.
Yeah, people have told me that before, and that's just not how my brain thinks.
And you have to be considerate of
Like,
editing if you're filming something. You have to be like, oh, okay, so what is the editor going to think? Like, you have to
yeah,
think about that. You can't just ignore it.
yeah, absolutely. Like, you have to be considering the whole process, and so I was thinking about that for a lot of time, and I was thinking really hard about, so like, how much do we need to show in this image? How close does the camera need to be? And the one thing I was really happy with coming up with is I was using my shoulder rig for the more emotionally like dramatic moments. Things feel more unstable, and I really want to like it's like I was trying to be careful in use of like a very static, still, calm camera and something more intense. And because that's the thing with like every part of filmmaking, not just DPing and editing and directing, but like you need to be thinking. The way I think of it is you need to think, how is this going to come across on screen? How are people going to respond to this? What can you do to further evoke the emotion you want to get from your audience? And so that's what I've been thinking about every step of the way here.
And actually, I will say that is one of the like
Like,
first things that we had like major disagreements about is the gimbal versus the shoulder rig. I am such a fan of like smooth, steady camera movement, and if we use it, and if we needed to add shake, we can add shake in post. I'm a big fan of that, and I once you started bringing up the
mm,
shoulder rig and how it being like more intense and less stable and more shaky and more handheld like feeling, I started to like once you did it with like I think scene 7 was the first one we did it
mhm.
for, and I was like, okay, I see what he means.
Yeah, and I don't think scene seven would have worked nearly as well if it was
No,
smooth.
it wouldn't have because
Like,
of the fact that you had to turn so quickly. The gimbal wouldn't have been able to follow you with that.
yeah, I think yeah, but it needs that, but even more so. It just needs that added
Yeah,
chaos for it to like really work.
but no, that
And
was like one of the big things that we like at the beginning disagreed on, and I am glad that we
yeah,
like had a
yeah,
discussion about it. We actually like talked about it, I was like, hey, I don't
Mm,
like the shoulder rig. And then you were like, okay, this is my explanation. You gave me that explanation that you were talking about, like stable for like more calm, someone like being like calm headed, as opposed to a big moment where there's yelling
mm.
and intensity and a hot headed moment. And I was able to like get on board with that eventually. But I'm glad that you did bring that
Yeah,
idea to the table because it worked out really well and it looks really good.
mm. And that's I guess one of the big things I was doing is I was making trying to be careful and making sure I had a reason for doing all the things I
Yeah,
wanted to
you can't
do.
just be like, oh, I want to do
And
something. What's
yeah,
the reason?
that
I
sounds
don't know.
yeah. Because that's the thing. I noticed it so much during my time in college, where like people will just like, oh, I want to do this thing because I think it will be cool, and like, but like, I never liked that. And like you see, like scripting, like some people like to like the thing I always notice is like when people just like make a film, it's usually like a horror short thing, and it's just as an excuse to do like cool lighting and cool and
Which,
like do cool
as great as
techniques.
that is, it's
Yeah, like
overdone.
that's yeah, that's not it's not what how I prefer to do things. Like if there's gonna be interesting lighting, I'd like for there to like be a thematic or story related reason for that lighting to be there, and so like shaky cam and the versus still camera and just how much you're showing the scene, how close to the actor the camera is. It's like I'm not gonna say I do this because I don't know, maybe I made a couple oversights here and there, but I make an attempt to keep that in mind when I was doing this
Yeah,
whole
and
thing.
my thing is like anytime we had a discussion about like, oh, I don't like this shot, and you were like, oh, I don't like what you're suggesting or whatever. Well, anytime that we had a discussion, I think it was kind of both ways.
Mm.
At least from my perspective, we both had some sort of reason for our opinions, and we were able to discuss it out like in a mature way. Like it wasn't like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, Will, I don't like your idea, and you're like, oh, what's your idea then? I'm like, I don't know, I just don't like it. It was never that. And maybe there's like one time where that was the case, but it, there was never like a big moment where it's like, screw you, you
It
don't have
was
a
never
reason. We're
like
gonna do it anyway. It's not that.
yeah, it was never like I don't care about your opinions. I'm the director. This is my idea, and we're
And I
gonna do
hate
it.
having, I hate that
And
ideal of
yeah, and
thinking because it's like, again, if you're working with these people, you want to take their
yeah,
opinions and use them to your advantage to make a better product.
exactly. Like it's like I mean that just wouldn't work in filmmaking because I mean like it's an inherently collaborative art. Like it's never going to be a one man show, and
Unless you're literally doing everything on your own, then that's
yeah, I
different.
mean I'm sure there's like and that's why I don't think I could be a good director because I'm so opinionated on how I think things should be that I struggle with being receptive to new ideas,
Well,
and it helps being not at like the peak of like the actual director position and being like lower in the totem pole because then I it's easier when you know you don't have the full amount of authority, but like I don't think I can have all that authority because I just be like I know what I need to do and you can't change my mind on
I
this.
understand what you're thinking of, and I actually kind of was like worried about myself having that perspective when we were going into this and we were about to be on
Mm,
set. I was like, I feel like I don't want to be like that asshole director that like doesn't like anyone's ideas, but I had to like really like sit down and relax and tell myself, hey, we've entrusted
mm.
these people and they're good at what they do, and I've only heard good things about all of them. Like there has to be a reason why I've heard good enough things to want to work with them in the future and talk with them and that kind of stuff. So I started on set. Like I think right off the bat, I was like, hey, if you guys have ideas, opinions, suggestions, tell me right off the bat. I want to have that kind of
Yeah.
open space, and it worked out. Like you have to kind of like force yourself into thinking about it that way.
But of course, like, and it makes sense to not be able to do that right away because you've been working on River's Edge for when did you start writing the
August
script with Piper?
2021. So August like 10th,
So
2021.
so by the time we started filming it, this has been like a passion project of yours
Almost 3
for a
years.
good 2-3 years, and it's easy to like get set into like your ideas of what you want to look like and how you think needs to be, and like when you've like committed to those ideas for so long, it's hard to like talk yourself out of them, and it's hard to be able to like open yourself up to those other ideas. And like, God, there was one scene we were talking about very recently, like in like the past week or so, where you said I had a vision for
Yep.
this scene and it's not exactly how it came out, and now we're considering
I
maybe
actually,
cutting
I
it.
was just
Well,
about to
we
bring up
were
that scene.
considering.
We were talking about scene 22, and
Oh, scene
it was like
22.
one of the most important scenes I had thought of when Piper and I were writing the script. We were like, this is like a really important scene, and a lot of stuff is said in it. But since we've added more stuff to different parts of the film, a lot of the stuff that was said in scene 22 is kind of like a repeat now. But scene 22 was such a shit show when we filmed it because it wasn't
Yeah.
anyone's fault. It was just the surroundings and the lighting of the sun. Not like lighting
Yeah, I
like
mean
Murphy's fault.
the sun was going down too
Yeah,
fast,
nature.
and God, Isaiah was not enjoying that scene. Isaiah really thought he could have been doing better, and then there was the bird.
Yeah. There was a lot of different things that happened, and it was a challenge for everybody involved.
Mm,
But now we're looking at that scene and we're like, huh, how much of this do we need? How can we make it work? And that's one of the challenges of editing, which you and I are going to get into editing in another episode of this podcast because obviously we're not done with that yet.
oh yeah, you're not you're
I
not
know
done with
we're
me
already
yet,
55
audience.
minutes into this thing, and um,
Welcome to basically what the
literally this
shot
is
sessions were
exactly what it
like.
was, just sitting here talking back and forth for an hour. And but scene 22 is a challenge because we have to make it work, we have to stitch things together, and we want to make it look as good as possible, obviously, if we have it in the film.
Mm,
But part of us is like, do we really need it if it's already repeated later on in the film? But it was, again, one of the original big scenes in the film where I had envisioned it, and I was like,
yeah,
we can't not have this. Like, it's perfect. So I don't know. It was a big
yeah,
scene
and
for us.
yeah, and that's like something. It's a I don't know how common of a phrase it is in the filmmaking world, but it's a phrase I knew of when I first started editing, and the phrase "kill your darlings" is something that I've been keeping in mind my whole
Colleen said the
career,
same
my whole
exact
very
phrase to me
short
last night when I
career.
was telling her about the situation on the phone. She said the same exact thing, and you and Colleen say that so often.
Okay,
It's
well at least
crazy.
because like, every film you do is gonna be a thousand situations where you're like, I love this shot so much, I don't want to get rid of it, but at a certain point you have to realize it just doesn't work with the film, and there's problems with it, and you have to be able to get rid of it and live with it. And God, it's gonna be really funny if after this we have this conversation, we wind up cutting 22,
Yeah, I do know we have to look at
and
that
then
more
like then
next
people,
week. But
yeah, and then yeah, but then like people are really not gonna know what we're
yeah,
talking
well,
about.
the thing is with this is, I know Dylan and I talk about this a lot actually. Like, in filmmaking, nothing is ever going to go exactly how you planned it. Everything's going to be screwed up. Everything's going to change.
Mm,
Something's going to happen on set where you're going to have to substitute something for another thing, whatever the situation may be. And our film was absolutely not exempt from that. We had a lot of experiences like
mm,
that.
yeah, it's Murphy's Law. Every film set's gonna have Murphy's Law, and it didn't help that
And
we
I
had
was
an
going to say
actual
we had an
Murphy on
actual
set,
Murphy
so
on set, so I was hoping that we'd be free from that. But whatever. But
well, no, just if guaranteed, it's all Murphy's
I would
fault.
think that if we
Everything that
had
went wrong
Murphy
is
on
Murphy's
set, they
fault.
would help us not have Murphy's Law happen.
Like, all right, audience, I'm gonna look you
It's not a
directly in the
video
eye right now.
podcast.
It was all Murphy's fault. Well, yeah, but people are gonna see
It's
it
not a
eventually.
video podcast. It's just an audio podcast.
Oh, no kidding.
We're just
Okay, wow.
FaceTiming so you and I can
Aw.
talk and I can hear what you're saying. You can hear what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, that's good because I've been like staring at the lens flare on your
I
face
know.
this whole time, and I was
No,
wondering if
I
people were
know.
gonna notice
And
that.
I also, I wouldn't have the fan in the background if this was a video podcast. Also
Mm,
looking up at my chin, that would suck.
you know, that's also
I
a
know.
really
See,
good
I know
point.
some
That's
cinematography
yeah,
things. I know you were DP, but I know some cinematography.
yeah. You know things. You're not
Thanks,
incompetent
Will. Actually,
all the
one thing
time.
about cinematography, really quick. I want Thank you. One thing I want to talk about cinematography real quick.
not
Just
gonna
to,
not gonna address that
I'm just
one.
gonna ignore you from now. Uh, so cinematography. One thing I want to talk about is my cinematography dramatically improved once I started doing photography as a hobby. I don't know if you do photography much as a
Mm.
hobby, but that's when I felt myself get really good at like analyzing the frame and understanding the situation of what's going on with cinematography.
You know, I don't do photography as much as I'd like, but I wish I did more. When I go on trips abroad, I definitely do a lot of photography. But you know, I don't know if any current Keene State students are listening, not seeing this or listening to this, but but I gotta say, I took a photography class my junior year, and that was like the cinematography class I had wanted over the whole time. So
Yeah.
like, photography is such a huge knowing photography like can really help your filmmaking. That's some I I guess that helped me in this more than I realized in the filming of River's Edge. But
Yeah, I was not really bad at cinematography, but I wasn't the best. And then once I started getting into more like photography, which was like I think sophomore or junior year, I started feeling myself able to learn a lot quicker and analyze the frame and start to know what more of what I'm talking about cinematography wise. And I have just been getting better and better since I started taking up photography. So, recommendation to anyone if you want to
yeah,
get better at cinematography, just do photography. Learn photography and
learn
literally just go on a
photography.
photo walk. Take your camera out, go on a photo walk for 20 minutes, take photos of whatever the hell you see,
Heyo.
and it will still help you.
Call back to the script
Exactly.
that people won't realize yet, but no, when you see this movie.
I mean, and again, like I've said this with Piper, a lot of this movie is based on my own personal experiences. So, there you go. Um, Will, is there anything else you want to talk about before we head off of this podcast with about a minute until it ends up being an hour long episode?
Okay, well, we gotta drag this out for an
No.
hour then.
And I'm just
We,
gonna
we
cut your
gotta
episode in
we
half
gotta we
like I
gotta
did with
make
Dylan.
we gotta reach the hour mark. Um, I think I'd like to finish by saying this is completely off the top of my head. I'm
So we're
improvising here. Let's
screwed.
see how this goes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Don't say that. Most of my work on this film is
Will,
improvised. But
you're not supposed to
well,
admit
when we were
that.
doing this
You're
shot
supposed to
list,
say everything was perfectly planned and
I'm
written
gonna.
down on a perfect note document.
Well, okay. I guess like beforehand it's perfectly planned and written down. The shot listing though, that was literally just the 90% of the shot listing session is just me rambling whatever ideas I had
And
off
me
the top of my
somehow
head
being
and.
able to keep up with what you're saying, even though I was actually would be like typing. I'm like, Will, shut the hell up. Give me a second to type. And Colleen was there for
I just
some of
had
those
too many
too, and she
ideas
was
all
like,
at once. Like, I wasn't looking at the script beforehand or anything. I was opening the script on the day and being like, okay,
this is what I'm seeing.
I know what we should do here. This like barely look at it for 2 seconds, which maybe isn't the best
I
approach to shot
think
listing,
for
but it
another
worked really well
project
for
where you're
me.
going to be doing DP, I think what you should do is you should look at the script first and like write down notes of what you're thinking, and then as we go through the shot list calls,
Mm,
maybe you should look at your notes and be like, I don't like that. I don't like that. So at least you have some preliminary
mm,
information to go off of.
maybe.
It would also probably make our lives a lot quicker, or our calls a lot quicker.
Uh, I'll
Will,
think about it.
if we do another
But
film where you're
to
DPing, I know I'm gonna force you to do that. So
all right. But to finish what my little conclusion here. I I think I'm extremely lucky to have been a part of this film. In all honesty, like I've been living in Vermont for the past year, which is great. This is my home. I love it here, but also there's no film work. So just the fact that you reached out to me and got me on this, like I feel like I lucked my way into like a first production where I can be proud of, and I feel like I can like present this stuff and like have it help me get to like a more expansive career. And like I am not sure what I'd be improvising a lot more if you hadn't texted me and said, "Hey, help me with this thing."
Well,
So, in short,
of
thank
course.
you.
I was about to say, is Will gonna get emotional? But no, that's just me.
No, no, you have to work a lot
I
harder for
know.
that.
Well, we'll make a big movie next, and then we'll get you to like bawl your eyes out. That's my goal. Is one of these projects that I
Yeah.
work on with you, I want you to be like so happy at the end that you cry. That's my goal.
Yeah, you have to get me drunk for that.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you again.
Which is such a contradiction.
Thank you again for your time and for doing this. We will see you soon on another episode.
It
Well,
was
not
my
soon, but we'll
pleasure.
see you in another episode in the future once.
Yeah. Are we doing the next episode when the editing's
Probably.
done?
We'll see you in a
Okay,
few months.
so the people won't be hearing from me for some time. Yeah. You know, I'll be back in a while. I gotta go back to my little dark editing lab and
You
cook
make
up.
it sound like I trap
Where
you
am I
in a
going with
little
this?
room and just be like, edit for 5 hours straight. Well, 5 hours isn't a lot.
See, I think back. Yeah, see, I think peak editing conditions. I think back to Keen, where they had those little editing labs. I just hole myself up
I love
in
those.
this little windowless room with a computer until like the late hours of the night, and hope campus safety doesn't kick me out. And
Well, also you have to think about the fact that like it's no distractions. All you have is a computer in there and your work.
oh yeah,
Here, like when I'm editing in my apartment, I have food. I have outside windows with cars driving by. I have a
I have
kitchen. You
dogs
have
barking
dogs barking there.
downstairs.
Yeah, you have everything around you. And when you're in those rooms, it's just like, okay, I have myself, my computer, and my film.
Yeah, those editing labs
Yeah.
are great.
I'm not gonna buy you or build
Too
you
bad to all
one.
you non-seniors who can't use them yet.
Anyway,
Just take it out of the budget, Mike.
what budget? A budget that we've gone over? Yeah. We have gone over budget. But it's okay. It's all worth it.
Oops, it's fine.
Okay, well, thank you again, and we will talk to you guys next episode on Uncropped. Next episode, we're gonna have another special guest, so stay tuned to figure out who it is and to listen to them. Next.
Oh, I was drum rolling.
I'm not gonna say you already know, but
I mean, I don't know who's next. I know who's coming.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for joining us on Uncropped. Goodbye.